Hello, my friend. Welcome to Dreamy Nights. I'm so glad you found your way here. Before we begin, take a moment to adjust your pillows and let the weight of the day simply melt into the mattress. Let the world grow soft around you. Tonight, there is nowhere else you need to be and nothing left for you to solve. You have done enough for today. Your only task now is to listen to the quiet space between my words. We are going to step into a sun-drenched workshop where time doesn't rush. It simply breathes. Together, we will focus on the tiny, golden heart of an antique watch, letting the rhythmic pulse of brass and silk carry you into a deep, restorative rest. If you find this a peaceful place to stay, you may wish to subscribe so you can return whenever you wish to rest. The workshop is narrow and tall, filled with the scent of aged cedar and the faint, metallic tang of clean silver. High windows allow the afternoon light to filter in, casting long, muted shadows across the oak floorboards. The colors here are gentle: sage greens, soft grays, and warm neutrals, designed to keep your mind still and your eyes at ease. On the center of the heavy workbench lies a square of indigo velvet, its surface appearing almost liquid in the fading light. The texture of the velvet is dense and plush, designed to catch every microscopic gear without a sound. You notice a single mote of dust floating in a stray beam of golden light. It moves with a slow, wandering gravity, rising and falling in the still air of the room. The air itself feels heavy and cool, carrying the grounding aroma of beeswax polish used on the wooden handles of the workbench drawers. There is a small ceramic bowl nearby, filled with cool, clear water that reflects the dark ceiling beams. The water is perfectly still, a mirror of the peace that is beginning to settle over your own mind. To the left of the velvet, a small stack of leather-bound ledgers sits undisturbed. The leather is a deep, weathered mahogany, smooth to the touch and smelling of old libraries and parchment. You can almost feel the grain of the leather under your fingertips. A tactile anchor in this sanctuary of mental safety. There is no noise here other than the steady, low-frequency hum of brown noise, which wraps around your thoughts like a heavy, protective blanket. This sound is specifically chosen to ground a racing mind and provide a safe space for your thoughts to dissolve. Beside the ledgers sits a small, smooth river stone, used as a paperweight. It is a pale gray, perfectly oval, and cool to the touch. You imagine the weight of the stone in your palm, its surface worn smooth by centuries of moving water. This is a non-urgent object, a piece of the natural world brought into this quiet space of human craft. The stone does not demand your attention. It simply exists, resting in the soft light of the late afternoon. The indigo velvet square is perfectly aligned with the edge of the oak table. You trace the fine, woven border of the fabric with your mind, noting the way the fibers change color as the light hits them from different angles. It is a deep, midnight blue that suggests the coming rest. Resting in the very center of that velvet is a 19th century pocket watch. It is heavy, gold, and silent. Its surface is etched with delicate floral patterns that you could trace for hours without ever reaching the end. The gold of the watch case is a warm, soft yellow, reflecting the sage green of the walls. It feels substantial, a piece of visual engineering designed to move you away from high contrast stress and toward a night mode state of being. Every scratch and mark on the gold tells a story of a second that has already passed, a moment that no longer requires your energy. You are here, in the present, surrounded by the scent of cedar and the cooling air of the workshop. A small porcelain tray sits to the right, its 12 compartments empty and waiting. The porcelain is white and glazed, cool and slick like the surface of a frozen pond. You focus on the curve of the tray, the way the light pools in the shallow dips of the ceramic. There is a profound sense of order here. Everything is prepared for a meticulous process that will require nothing from you but your presence. The brown noise deepens slightly, creating a sonic barrier between you and the outside world. It is the sound of absolute privacy. You hear the faint, distant chime of a clock in another room, a silver sound that ripples through the stillness and then vanishes. It leaves the silence deeper than it was before. The shadows on the floor are growing longer, stretching toward the velvet square like slow-moving fingers of sleep. You feel the weight of your own body pressing into your bed, much like the watch presses into the indigo velvet. You are supported. You are safe. The workshop is a sanctuary where time is measured only by the slow, the rhythmic sweep of a brush or the placement of a tiny screw. There is no tomorrow here and no yesterday. There is only the cool brass, the soft velvet, and the steady 432 Hz resonance that is beginning to harmonize with your own heartbeat. The air grows a fraction cooler as the sun dips lower behind the trees outside the window. You can smell the coming night, a scent of damp earth and cooling leaves. It is a clean, refreshing scent that clears the mind of any lingering ADHD noise. You are becoming part of the workshop, a quiet observer of a process that is as old as time itself. The gold heart of the watch is waiting for us to begin, but there is no rush. We have all the time in the world. Let your breath slow down to match the pacing of the shadows. In and out. The indigo velvet is your horizon. The golden watch is your anchor. Now we are standing on the threshold of a deep, dreamless sleep, and the door is standing open. The watchmaker's hands move with a poetic slowness toward the first tool on the oak table. It is a precision screwdriver, its handle crafted from surgical steel with a knurled grip that feels like a cool, cross-hatched landscape against the skin. The weight of it is surprising, balanced perfectly between the thumb and forefinger. As it is lifted, the sunlight catches the flat edge of the blade, sending a soft, muted reflection toward the sage green walls. This tool is placed onto the indigo velvet with a movement so deliberate it seems to happen in a dream. It settles into the plush fibers without a sound, perfectly parallel to the edge of the workbench. The second screwdriver is slightly smaller, its handle a fraction thinner than the first. You watch as it is retrieved from its wooden rest, noting the faint scent of machine oil that clings to the metal. This scent is clean and grounding, a sharp contrast to the soft, floral notes of the beeswax polish on the table. The watchmaker aligns this second tool exactly 2 centimeters to the right of the first. The space between them is a perfect vacuum of order. There is no urgency in this alignment. If a tool sits a fraction of a millimeter out of place, it is lifted and reset with infinite patience until the symmetry is restored. A third tool follows, then a fourth, each one a mirror of the last, but in a descending scale of size. The visual rhythm of these 5 silver lines against the deep midnight blue of the velvet creates a mental safety net. Your brain begins to let go of complex problems, finding a strange, heavy comfort in the simple math of these parallel lines. At the 432 Hz frequency hums beneath this silence, a natural harmonic that resonates with the cellular peace of the room. You can almost feel the resonance in your own fingertips as you imagine the cool touch of the steel. Now, the watchmaker reaches for a small porcelain cup containing a collection of microscopic brass screws. The porcelain is smooth and cold, polished to a high white gloss that reflects the darkening sky outside. One by one, the screws are tipped out onto a separate corner of the velvet. They fall like tiny golden seeds, each one no larger than a grain of sand. The sound they make is a series of microscopic thuds, dampened instantly by the indigo fabric. You focus on a single screw. Its head is slotted with a precision that defies the human eye. It catches a glint of light, a tiny spark of gold in the vast landscape of the workbench. With a pair of fine-tipped brass tweezers, the watchmaker begins to sort these golden seeds. The tweezers are lightweight and flexible, making a soft click as the tips meet. Each screw is picked up and turned over, its threads inspected under the magnifying loop. The lens of the loop is a thick, curved world of its own, magnifying the grain of the velvet until it looks like a forest of blue silk. You follow the movement of the tweezers as they carry a screw from the pile to a specific compartment in the porcelain tray. The motion is repetitive. Grip, lift, carry, release. Grip, lift, carry, release. This cycle repeats 20 times. Each time, your breath follows the arc of the tweezers. All the air in the workshop is now tinged with the scent of old paper from a nearby ledger, a dry and comforting aroma that suggests the weight of history. The brown noise continues its steady, low-frequency embrace, masking any stray sounds from the world outside. You are entirely contained within this square foot of space. The rest of the world has ceased to exist. There is only the gold, the velvet, and the silver tools. The fifth and final screwdriver is placed. The row is now complete. The watchmaker pauses, his hands resting flat on the cool oak of the table. You feel that same stillness in your own limbs. The preparation is a ritual of mental safety, a way of signaling to the body that the environment is secure and the work is non-threatening. The shadows have moved another inch across the floor, and their sage green edges softening into grey. The workshop is ready. The gold heart of the watch is the only thing left to address. You find yourself tracing the knurled grip of the largest screwdriver once more in your mind. You feel the tiny ridges, the coldness of the steel, the way it anchors you to the present. There is a profound beauty in this mundane order. Every tool is a promise of restoration. Every screw is a tiny piece of a larger piece. The 432 hearthstone swells gently, filling the gaps between the sorted tools, weaving a tapestry of sound that holds you in a state of circadian rhythm alignment. You are ready to go deeper. The watchmaker's hand, steady and deliberate, reaches toward the center of the indigo velvet to lift the 19th century pocket watch. It is a hunter case style, meaning its delicate face is protected by a hinged golden cover, a shield of mental safety against the outside world. As his fingers close around the cool, heavy metal, the weight of the piece becomes a grounding anchor. It is a substantial weight, the kind that feels like history held in the palm of a hand. The gold is not bright or jarring. It is a soft, burnished yellow, muted by a century of gentle handling and the sage green shadows of the workshop. You imagine the texture of the gold against your own skin, smooth, slightly curved, and holding the faint coolness of the stone floor below. The exterior of the case is a masterpiece of non-linear storytelling. Your mind begins to wander across the intricate engravings that wrap around the circumference of the gold. There are tiny etched vines that twist and turn without a clear beginning or end, a poetic metaphor for the drifting thoughts of a resting mind. Each vine is no wider than a thread of silk, yet you can feel the slight indentation of the engraver's tool as if you were tracing it with a needle. Between the vines, there are microscopic rosebuds, their petals tightly closed, sleeping in the metal. The scent of the workshop, cedar, beeswax, and a hint of cold silver seems to deepen as you focus on these minute details. To the left of the central crest, There is a small, faint scratch, a mark of time itself. It is a thin, shallow line that crosses one of the etched leaves. You spend a long moment visualizing the depth of that scratch, or the way it catches the fading afternoon light, and the way the gold has smoothed over its edges in the decades since it occurred. There is no drama in this mark, only the quiet evidence of a life lived. This is the meticulous process technique, observing the mundane until the brain finds it too heavy to hold. The 432 Hz frequency swells in the background, its natural harmonic resonance vibrating in sympathy with the solid gold case. The watchmaker turns the watch slowly, rotating it a fraction of a degree at a time. The movement is so slow that the light seems to crawl across the surface of the gold like a liquid. You notice the winding crown at the top, a small, fluted knob of gold that resembles a tiny royal crown. Each ridge on the crown is perfectly sharp, designed for a grip that isn't needed right now. Above the crown is the bow, the circular ring that once held a heavy gold chain. The bow swings with a soft, rhythmic clink against the case. A sound so delicate it is almost swallowed by the protective brown noise. This noise profile, emphasizing the lower frequencies, creates a cocoon for your racing thoughts, preventing auditory fatigue as the room grows darker. The watchmaker's thumb finds the small, protruding lip of the front cover. This is the moment of opening, a transition from the known exterior to the hidden heart of the machine. He applies a pressure so light it wouldn't crush a dried leaf. There is a microsecond of resistance, the gold holding onto itself, and then a soft, dull snick as the internal latch releases. The sound is grounding, a definitive click that signals the start of the deeper work. And the cover swings open on its hidden hinge, moving with a fluid, oiled grace that suggests a century of careful maintenance. Inside the cover, the gold is polished to a mirror finish. You see a reflected world of muted teals and grays, a distorted and dreamlike version of the workshop. The watch face is revealed, a disc of white enamel as smooth and cold as a sheet of mid-winter ice. The Roman numerals are painted in a deep midnight black, their serifs delicate and precise. You find yourself counting them. 1, 2, 3, 4, not to keep time, but to feel the shape of the ink on the white surface. The hands of the watch are made of blued steel, a dark, iridescent peacock blue that only reveals its color when the light hits it at a specific angle. They are frozen, pointing toward a moment in the past that no longer requires your attention. Out the sage-green walls of the workshop begin to dissolve into a soft charcoal gray. The golden light on the workbench pulls back, retreating toward the center of the watch. The edges of your vision grow heavy and dark, as if the indigo velvet is expanding to cover the entire world. This transition is designed to protect your natural melatonin production, signaling to your brain that the visual day is over. As the image of the watch slowly fades, the gold becomes a ghost of a light, then a mere suggestion, until finally, there is only the perfect, safe void of a black screen. Even in the darkness, the tactile description continues, guiding your mental safety. You can still feel the weight of the watch in the watchmaker's palm. You can still smell the beeswax and the cooling air. The brown noise is now your primary environment. A steady, oceanic thrum that mimics the sound of a heartbeat or a distant, windswept forest. You imagine the watchmaker's fingers moving to the back of the case, seeking the second latch. The back cover opens with a slightly different tone, a deeper, more hollow thrum, revealing the dust cover or cuvette. This internal lid is also made of gold, but it is unadorned, save for the engraved name of the maker and the city of its birth. London, 1882. You trace those letters in your mind. The L is tall and sweeping. The N is rounded and soft. The date, 1882, feels like a distant shore. Each number is a stone you can step on as you walk further away from the noise of 2026. The 432 Hz frequency is now the only light in the room, a golden sound that vibrates within your chest, encouraging circadian rhythm alignment. The watchmaker uses a small, silver key to unlock the final barrier. The key is cold and thin, fitting into a square hole in the cuvette with a perfect, airtight seal. You hear the slow, rhythmic turning of the key. One quarter turn, a pause, another quarter turn. This is the meticulous process motif, the slow turning of a brass key. With the final turn, the dust cover is lifted, and the golden heart of the watch is exposed to the cooling air. The smell of light machine oil becomes more distinct, a clean, technical scent that promises order and functionality. You are now deep within the night mode of the experience. The darkness is not empty. It is filled with the presence of the watch and the steady, grounding pulse of the brown noise. The outside world, with its high contrast demands and AI slop, is millions of miles away. You are safe in this dark workshop. You are anchored by the gold, the velvet, and the 432 Hz healing resonance. Every breath you take is becoming slower, matching the non-urgent pace of the watchmaker's movements. The ADHD quiet mind is found here, in the focus on a single golden gear that hasn't yet begun to turn. The cuvette has been lifted, and the golden heart of the 19th century movement is now exposed to the cool, still air of the workshop. Even in the darkness of the room, you can feel the complexity of this miniature city. A three-dimensional landscape of brass bridges, polished steel levers, and shimmering, ruby jewels. The air carries a sharper, cleaner scent now. The heavy beeswax of the table has given way to the technical, refined aroma of high-grade watch oil and the cold, metallic tang of antique brass. This is the mental safety of a world perfectly contained, where every part has a purpose and a place. Far removed from the high-contrast chaos of the modern world, the watchmaker's magnifying loupe is brought to his eye, creating a focused portal into this golden realm. You imagine the view through that thick, the curved glass. The way the edges of the brass bridges appear to soften and swell, their polished surfaces becoming vast plains of honey-colored light. The 432 Hz frequency expands to fill this imagined space, a natural harmonic resonance that seems to vibrate from the very center of the mainspring barrel. You focus your mind on that barrel, a large circular brass drum that holds the coiled energy of the watch. Its surface is finished with snailing, a pattern of fine concentric circles that catch the ghost of a light and spin it into a soft golden blur. You trace those circles with your thoughts over and over, following the spiral inward toward the center, a meticulous process that mimics the slow winding down of your own internal clock. Moving away from the barrel, the narrative drifts across the train of gears. While there is the center wheel, the third wheel, and the fourth wheel, each one a different diameter, each one possessing a specific number of microscopic teeth. You imagine a single tooth on the center wheel. It is shaped like a tiny, rounded leaf, polished to a mirror shine to ensure it glides against its neighbor without a whisper of friction. You spend a long moment visualizing the contact point between two gears, a microscopic touch of brass on brass, as light as a heartbeat. There is no grinding here, no tension. There is only the night mode smoothness of a machine designed for eternity. The brown noise serves as the atmosphere for this city, a low-frequency hum that grounds any racing thoughts and prevents the brain from seeking distractions in the silence. To the left of the gear train sits the escapement, the gatekeeper of time. Well, it is made of blued steel, a deep, iridescent peacock shade that feels cool and dark in your mind's eye. The pallet fork, with its two tiny ruby pallets, sits poised and ready. These rubies are synthetic, carved into precise rectangular blocks that are smoother than any natural stone. You focus on the texture of the ruby. It is slick, hard, and colder than the surrounding brass. The watchmaker uses a single, fine-tipped pegwood stick, a sliver of soft, absorbent wood, to gently touch the edge of a jewel. You hear the faint scritch of the wood against the stone, a sound so mundane and non-urgent, that it sends a wave of cognitive shuffling through your awareness. The balance wheel is the largest inhabitant of this internal landscape. It is a wide ring of bimetallic brass and steel, weighted with tiny golden screws around its perimeter. These screws are microscopic masterpieces. Some are made of gold to add weight, others of white metal to subtract it. You imagine the watchmaker's tweezers hovering over one of these screws, not to turn it, but simply to observe its perfect slotted head. The screw is so small that a single breath would send it fluttering away like a speck of dust, yet here it sits, anchored and secure. The 432 Hz stone seems to emanate from the balance spring, a hair-thin coil of steel that looks like a miniature silver shadow. You follow the curve of the spring as it coils tighter and tighter toward the center staff, a visual journey that encourages your own breathing to become shallow and rhythmic. The scent of the workshop shifts slightly as a small vial of cleaning solution is opened. It is a faint, citrus-like aroma, clean and sharp, which cuts through the heavier scent of the cedar wood. The watchmaker dips a tiny brush into the liquid, and you hear the rhythmic, wet click of the bristles against the glass rim. This is a scene of stillness, the preparation for a task that will take an hour and change nothing in the outside world. You are safe in the knowledge that time has stopped. There is no deadline for this cleaning, no audience, and no pressure. There is only the gold, the steel, and the ruby. Every paragraph of this journey is a layer of protection. You are sinking deeper into the indigo velvet of the workshop, your body becoming as heavy and still as the oak workbench itself. The 432 Hz frequency is now a physical sensation, a gentle massage for your nervous system that promotes circadian rhythm alignment and DNA repair. The darkness of the screen is a sanctuary where your eyes can finally rest, freed from the uncanny valley of high-contrast AI loops. You are seeing with your skin, smelling with your memory, and hearing with your soul. You imagine the watchmaker's breath, slow, steady, and warm, as he leans over the movement. It is a human presence in this mechanical world, a reminder that you are not alone in this stillness. The mental safety provided by this environment allows your brain to stop scanning for threats or tasks. You are permitted to be bored. You are permitted to be tired. The golden gears are not asking you to turn them. They are simply waiting for the night to grow older. The brown noise remains your anchor, a constant, the unchanging companion that mimics the sound of the world asleep. As we move toward the center of the dream, the internal landscape of the watch becomes even more abstract. The gears are no longer machines. They are circular paths of peace. The rubies are no longer bearings. They are resting points for your spirit. The 432 Hz resonance is the only truth left in the room. You are drifting now, the edges of your thoughts softening like the sage green paint on the workshop walls. The watchmaker prepares his finest brush for the next stage of the meticulous process. And you realize that you don't need to see the movement to know it is beautiful. The watchmaker reaches for his finest tool, a brush with a handle of polished ebony and bristles made from the softest sable hair. You can imagine the cool, slender weight of the ebony in his hand, a smooth contrast to the metallic grain of the workbench tools. The bristles are so fine, they are nearly invisible. A soft cloud of natural fiber designed to disturb nothing but the most microscopic of dust motes. He begins at the very outer edge of the balance bridge, a curved plate of golden brass that arches over the heartbeat of the watch. The motion is slow, circular, and infinitely patient. You hear the sound of the brush, a faint, rhythmic shush, 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 that seems to breathe in time with the 432 Hz frequency. Or this is the sound of mental safety, a repetitive auditory anchor that prevents auditory fatigue and settles the ADHD quiet mind. Each stroke of the brush travels exactly 1 centimeter, following the curve of the brass before lifting and returning to the start. It is a non-urgent task, a scene of stillness where the only goal is the removal of a speck of dust that no human eye could ever see. The scent of the workshop changes as the brush moves across the metal, releasing the faint, ancient smell of the brass itself, a dry, metallic aroma that feels grounding and solid. The watchmaker moves the brush to the first of the large gears, the center wheel. He follows the path of the teeth, one by one. There are 60 teeth on this wheel, and he treats each one as a destination. The brush dips into the valley between 2 teeth and sweeps upward over the rounded peak and settles into the next valley. You follow this path in your mind, a winding golden road that leads nowhere but deeper into the dream. The brown noise provides a deep, low-frequency foundation for this work, masking the outside world and creating a safe space for your thoughts to dissolve. Within this sonic cocoon, the shush of the bristles becomes a lullaby. You imagine the texture of the bristles, how they would feel if they were drawn across your own palm, as light as a whisper, as soft as a trailing cloud. There is no friction here, no resistance. The watchmaker's hand is steady, guided by the 0.85 times pacing of a heart at rest. He moves the brush to the click spring, a tiny, tensioned piece of steel that holds the winding power in place. It is a different texture, a different sound, or the bristles make a slightly higher, more metallic hiss as they pass over the polished steel. This change in tone is a form of cognitive shuffling, a new, non-urgent detail for the brain to observe before it loses interest and drifts back towards sleep. You visualize the spring, a silver crescent moon hidden in the golden city of the watch, catching a ghost of the memory of light. Now, the watchmaker turns his attention to the jewel holes. These are the synthetic rubies we observed earlier, the translucent pink bearings that hold the spinning axles of the gears. He uses the very tip of the sable brush to clear the concave surface of a ruby. The motion is a tiny clockwise spiral. 1, 2, 3. The brush lifts. 1, 2, 3. The brush lifts. The repetition is a physical weight, pressing you deeper into the indigo velvet of your bed. You feel your shoulders drop, your jaw loosen, and your breath lengthen to match the watchmaker's count. The air in the workshop is perfectly still. The only movement is the brush and the slow, rhythmic expansion of your own chest. The scent of cedar wood from the workbench drawers is a warm, dry presence, like a blanket made of scent. It mixes with the faint ozonic smell of the cleaning solution, a clean and refreshing note that signals the restoration of the machine. You are being restored along with the watch. The junk of the day, the overthinking, this anxiety, the noise, is being swept away by these thousands of tiny sable strokes. The watchmaker moves to the underside of the balance wheel. This is the most delicate part of the meticulous process. The balance wheel is weighted with those tiny golden screws we counted before. The brush must dance between them, navigating the narrow gaps without disturbing the hair-thin balance spring. The motion becomes even slower, even more deliberate. You imagine the brush navigating these golden pillars, a slow-motion journey through a forest of brass. The 432 Hz resonance swells here, a golden hum that vibrates in the space between the screws. The shush, shush continues. It is the sound of a world without deadlines. The watchmaker has spent 20 minutes on this single wheel, and he will spend 20 more. There is no efficiency here, only care. This meticulous process motif is a rebellion against the fast-paced AI slop of the modern world. It is a return to the poetic, slow, and non-linear storytelling that the adult brain needs to disengage from the day. You find yourself tracing the edge of the balance wheel in your mind, a perfect circle of peace that rotates slowly in the darkness. The indigo velvet beneath the watch is a silent witness to the cleaning. You imagine the dust falling onto the blue fibers, vanishing into the deep pile of the fabric. The workshop is becoming cleaner, quieter, and more resonant with every passing minute. The brown noise remains your constant companion, a steady thrum that mimics the sound of a distant, rushing river, a river that is carrying you further and further away from the shore of wakefulness. As the watchmaker finishes the third wheel and moves to the fourth, you realize that your mind has become as clear as the polished brass. The mental safety of the workshop is absolute. There are no shadows here that you did not choose, and no sounds that do not bring you peace. The sable brush is a magic wand, turning the complex mechanics of the watch into a simple, rhythmic pulse of sound. You are drifting in a night mode sanctuary where the only thing that matters is the next soft stroke of the brush. The watchmaker pauses. He sets the sable brush back onto its ebony rest. The sound of the brush stops, leaving a silence that is rich and full, layered with the 432 Hertz healing frequency and the steady brown noise. The watch is clean. The gold is gleaming in the dark. The stage is set for the most delicate part of the restoration, the oiling of the jewels. But for now, you simply rest in the silence of the finished cleaning, and you feel the cool air of the workshop on your skin, the scent of cedar in your nose, and the weight of the night holding you kindly. You are ready to move from the cleaning to the healing. The watchmaker reaches for a small glass vial that sits at the very edge of the indigo velvet. The glass is cool and smooth, its surface frosted by time and the dry air of the workshop. Inside the vial is a clear, viscous liquid, a specialized oil refined to a state of absolute purity. As the cork is removed, a faint, clean scent of mineral and ozone rises, cutting through the warm, heavy aroma of the cedarwood workbench. This is a technical scent, a mental safety anchor that signals the transition from the act of cleaning to the act of restoration. There is no sound in the workshop now, but the steady, protective thrum of brown noise, which serves as a low-frequency shield against any racing thoughts or external auditory fatigue. He picks up a silver oiling needle, a tool so fine that its tip is nearly invisible to the naked eye. But the handle is made of fluted aluminum, providing a lightweight, knurled grip that prevents any tension in the hand. You imagine the feeling of that needle, a cold silver sliver that carries the weight of the entire mechanism's future. The watchmaker dips the tip into the glass vial, and as he withdraws it, a single microscopic drop of oil clings to the point. It is a perfect, translucent sphere, a tiny globe of clarity that catches the 528 Hertz vibration of the room. You focus your entire mind on that drop. It hangs there, suspended in the darkness of the workshop, resisting gravity through the quiet power of surface tension. In the 0.85x spacing of this narrative, we observe the drop for a long, non-linear minute. You see the way it wobbles slightly with the watchmaker's breath. Oh, a rhythmic expansion and contraction that matches your own slow, deep breathing. The 528 Hz healing frequency swells here, a golden, resonant tone that encourages circadian rhythm alignment and a sense of profound spiritual peace. The drop of oil is a metaphor for your own awareness, clear, contained, and ready to settle into a place of rest. The watchmaker moves the needle toward the first ruby pivot, the bearing for the balance wheel. The ruby is a deep, translucent pink, a night mode color that feels soft and cooling in your mind's eye. The center of the jewel is slightly concave, forming a tiny oil cup designed to hold the lubricant in place for decades. The silver needle descends with the slowness of a falling star. You hear the microscopic shush of the needle passing through the air, followed by a moment of absolute silence as the metal nears the stone. The moment of contact is a scene of stillness. The drop of oil touches the ruby and, with a slow, heavy grace, it releases from the needle and settles into the center of the jewel. You imagine the oil spreading out, a clear wave of frictionless peace that coats the synthetic stone. The 528 Hz resonance deepens, harmonizing with the physical act of lubrication. This is the meticulous process motif, the slow, deliberate placement of a single drop. It is a task that requires no logic, no drama, and no hurry. It is a mundane action that allows your brain to disengage from the high-stakes world and enter a state of cognitive shuffling. He moves to the next jewel, then the next. Each time, the process is identical. Dip the needle, lift the drop, wait for the breath, lower the silver point, release the oil. 1, 2, 3, 4. The count is your heartbeat. The scent of the mineral oil becomes a grounding presence, a technical promise that the machine is being cared for. You are being cared for. The indigo velvet beneath the watch is a blue horizon of safety, and the brown noise is the wind that carries you toward the center of your dream. Now, the watchmaker turns his attention to the escapement pallets, those two tiny ruby blocks that we observed earlier. These require an even finer touch. The oil must be placed only on the locking face of the jewel. You visualize the watchmaker's hand, rock steady in the twilight of the workshop. The needle moves in a tiny horizontal arc. You hear the faint metallic tink of the needle meeting the steel arm of the pallet fork. It's a sound so delicate it feels like a spark of light in the darkness. The oil settles. The friction vanishes. The watch is becoming a frictionless entity, a machine that can run forever without effort. As the last drop of oil is placed, the watchmaker sets the silver needle back onto the workbench. The sound of the tool meeting the wood is a dull, satisfying thud that signals the completion of the healing phase. The 528 Hz frequency begins to taper slightly, making way for the return of the 432 Hz pulse, the natural harmonic of a heart at rest. The air in the workshop feels heavier now, saturated with the peace of a task well done. The scent of cedar wood and beeswax returns to the forefront, wrapping you in a familiar, earthy embrace. You are sinking. Your limbs are as heavy as the brass bridges of the watch, while your mind is as clear as the mineral oil in the vial. The ADHD quiet mind has found its sanctuary in the repetition of the needle and the stone. The outside world, with its high contrast, AI slop, and uncanny valley anxieties, is a ghost that cannot enter this room. You are anchored by the night mode colors of your imagination: muted sage, indigo, and the deep, translucent pink of the rubies. The watchmaker wipes the silver needle with a piece of pithwood, a soft, spongy material that makes a dry, scrunching sound. This is a final, mundane, repetitive echo. Scrunch, scrunch, scrunch. The needle is clean. The vial is corked. The restoration is complete. All that remains is the awakening, the moment where the heart of the watch begins to beat again, carrying you into the final, deepest stage of sleep. The brown noise remains constant, a steady foundation that has held you since the beginning. It is the sound of the universe breathing. You are breathing with it. Your body is a machine that has been cleaned, oiled, and restored. You are ready to tick. You are ready to rest. The darkness of the screen is your blanket, and the silence of the workshop is your home. The watchmaker's hands, steady and calm after the meticulous oiling of the rubies, reach once more into the heart of the movement. The air in the workshop is heavy with the scent of cedar and the clean mineral aroma of the fresh oil, a technical perfume that signals the completion of the mental safety ritual. There is a profound stillness in the darkness of your room, broken only by the low-frequency protective thrum of the brown noise. It is a sound like the distant, slow shifting of tectonic plates or the hum of a deep, underground cavern, a sonic blanket that keeps your racing thoughts from wandering beyond the edges of the velvet. With a silver-tipped pegwood stick, the watchmaker leans over the balance wheel, the large golden ring that holds the rhythm of the entire machine. The wheel is perfectly still, its bimetallic rim reflecting a ghost of a light that no longer exists in the night mode of your vision. The 432 Hz frequency begins to swell, rising from the background like a soft golden tide. This is the frequency of natural harmonic resonance, a tone designed to lower the heart rate and facilitate circadian rhythm alignment. You imagine the watchmaker's breath, warm, slow, and rhythmic, as he prepares for the final touch. He applies a pressure so light it wouldn't disturb a single hair, a feather touch against one of the golden weighted screws on the rim of the wheel. The wheel gives way, rotating just a fraction of a millimeter. There is a moment of hesitation, a breath of silence where the hairspring coils and uncoils, testing its new freedom. And then it happens. The first tick. It is not a sharp sound. In the 0.85 times spacing of this dream, the tick is a soft, resonant snick, followed by a deep, hollow tock. The sound vibrates at exactly 432 hertz, a frequency that mimics the slow, steady pulse of a body in deep repose. Tick, tock, tick, tock. The rhythm is non-linear and hypnotic, a scene of stillness that requires no logical engagement from your brain. You follow the sound as it travels through the brass bridges, into the oak workbench, and finally into the floor beneath your bed. You are no longer just a listener. You are part of the clock's resonance. The watchmaker removes the pegwood stick and sets it down. The sound of the wood meeting the oak is a dull, satisfying clunk that marks the end of his intervention. The watch is now a self-sustaining entity, a healing machine that needs nothing more from the outside world. So this is the meticulous process motif of the awakening pulse. You imagine the balance wheel oscillating back and forth, 300 degrees in one direction, then 300 degrees in the other. It is a perfect, repetitive circle of peace. The brown noise remains your foundation, but it is now layered with the heartbeat of the watch. The 432 Hz pulse creates a mental safety zone that encourages the brain to enter the N3 stage of restorative deep sleep, the stage where the body repairs itself, the mind finds its spiritual clarity. You feel your own heartbeat slowing down, seeking the same frequency as the brass gears. The scent of beeswax polish on the workbench seems to warm up, as if the motion of the watch is generating a tiny, comforting heat. Now, the watchmaker begins the final, meticulous process of the night. He takes a soft chamois cloth and begins to polish the exterior of the gold hunter case as the watch ticks within it. This is a repetitive, tactile action, a slow, clockwise circle over the etched vines, followed by a long, straight stroke across the smooth center. 1, 2, 3, and sweep. 1, 2, 3, and sweep. You can hear the rhythmic friction of the leather against the gold, a soft hiss that acts as a counterpoint to the ticking heartbeat. The 432 Hz resonance expands, filling every corner of the dark workshop. It is a healing sound that addresses the psychological pain points of overthinking and anxiety. As the watchmaker polishes, you imagine the last remnants of your day being smoothed away, just like the faint fingerprints on the gold case. The surface of the watch is becoming a mirror of the silence in your room. The indigo velvet beneath it feels even softer now, as if the fabric itself is falling asleep. The watchmaker pauses after every 3 circles to inspect his work. You hear the slow, heavy intake of his breath and the soft exhale that follows. This is the human voice of the story, a reminder that this is a safe space built by hand and heart. There are no mid-roll ads here to break the trance. There is only the no mid-adies sanctuary of the night. The air feels cool and still, but the ticking of the watch provides a warmth that resonates deep in your chest. You are drifting further now. The ADHD quiet mind has found its rhythm in the 432 Hz pulse. The uncanny valley of high-stakes drama is gone, replaced by the mundane, a non-urgent description of a gold case being polished. You find yourself focusing on the sound of the ticking as it passes through the pallid jewels, those rubies we oiled with such care. The sound is cleaner now, smoother, more rhythmic. It is the sound of friction being defeated by care. The watchmaker completes the polishing. He lays the chamois cloth aside. He takes the watch, still ticking with its 432 Hz heart, and gently closes the front cover. The snick of the gold latch is the final punctuation of the day. The watch is now a sealed vessel of time, its heartbeat contained within the protective shell of the gold and the indigo velvet. You are that vessel. You are the gold. You are the heartbeat. The brown noise begins a very slow 10-minute transition, moving toward a deeper, more atmospheric tone. At the 432 Hz frequency remains constant, a golden thread that ties you to the workshop. You are ready for the final deceleration. The scene of stillness is almost complete. You have moved from the sunlight of the afternoon to the absolute sanctuary of the midnight workshop. The watchmaker stands up from his stool. You hear the creak of the wood and the soft shuffle of his feet on the oak floor. He is leaving the room, but he is leaving the watch with you. He is leaving the 432 Hz pulse to guard your sleep. The workshop is quiet. The gold watch is ticking. You are safe. The watchmaker has stepped away, his soft footsteps on the oak boards fading into the protective embrace of the brown noise. You are alone now in the sanctuary of the workshop, but you are not truly alone. You are held by the steady golden heartbeat of the 19th century watch, which continues to pulse at exactly 432 Hz on its bed of indigo velvet. The air in the room has reached a perfect, cool equilibrium, carrying the final, lingering notes of cedar wood, beeswax, and that clean, restorative mineral oil. This is the mental safety of a completed task, a world that is perfectly ordered and requires nothing more from your consciousness. You imagine the watch resting there in the absolute darkness. The gold case is no longer a machine. It is a warm, resonant sun that radiates peace into every corner of the room. You put the 432 Hz frequency is no longer just a sound you hear. It is a frequency you inhabit. It vibrates through your pillows, through your blankets, and into the very marrow of your bones, encouraging circadian rhythm alignment and the total release of the day's psychological pain points. The ADHD quiet mind finds its final anchor here, in the non-linear, non-urgent repetition of the tick and the tock. The brown noise begins its final heavy transformation. It grows deeper, broader, and more oceanic, mimicking the sound of a vast, calm sea at midnight. This is the sonic hue of total privacy. Within this sound, the ticking of the watch becomes a distant, rhythmic lighthouse, a point of light in the darkness that guides you further away from the shore of wakefulness. You are drifting now, the edges of your body softening until you can no longer tell where the indigo velvet ends, and you begin. The texture of the night is plush, heavy, and infinitely kind. In your mind's eye, you return to the image of the balance wheel for one last meticulous process. You visualize its bimetallic rim oscillating in the dark, a perfect, frictionless circle. Left and right, left and right. With every swing, a tiny golden screw passes through the center of your focus. You don't count them. You simply observe their passage. They are like stars moving across a midnight sky, distant, bright, and entirely beyond the reach of worry. This cognitive shuffling of golden points on a dark background and is the final key that unlocks the door to the N3 stage. The scent of the workshop is fading now, replaced by the scent of your own deep, rhythmic breathing. The air feels like silk against your skin. The 432 Hz resonance has become a low, heavy hum that resides in the base of your skull, quieting the last remnants of overthinking. You are sinking into the mattress as if it were a pool of warm, dark water. The weight of your limbs is a comfort, a physical manifestation of the permission to let go we established at the beginning of this journey. The watchmaker's workshop is now a memory, a safe place you can return to whenever you wish to rest. The gold watch, the silver tools, the indigo velvet, they are all stored away in the night mode of your subconscious. All that remains is the pulse. Tick, tock. It is the only time that exists now, a time that does not rush toward a deadline, but simply marks the presence of peace. On the 432 Hz frequency is a healing balm for the spirit, repairing the day's fatigue and preparing you for a tomorrow that is still far, far away. The brown noise is now a wall of sound, a protective barrier that keeps the uncanny valley of the outside world at bay. You are in a safe space, a sanctuary of mental safety where your melatonin production is at its peak. Your eyes, closed and rested in the darkness of the room, feel heavy and cool, Your heart is beating in perfect synchronization with the 432 hertz heart of the watch. You are restored. You are repaired. You are whole. The narration speed drops to its final, most hypnotic 0.75 times space. The words become longer, heavier, and more spaced apart. They are like the last, slow ripples on a pond after a stone has settled at the bottom. The stone is your consciousness, resting in the deep, cool silt of sleep. The ripples are the last echoes of this story, fading into the absolute silence of the workshop. You are floating now, untethered from the demands of the day. The magnesium for sleep of the mind has taken effect, relaxing every muscle and every thought. There is nothing left to hear. There is nothing left to see. There is only the feeling of being held by the night. The 432 hertz pulse is a whisper now, a secret shared between you and the gold watch. It says that you are safe. It says that you are home. The brown noise will continue to guard your sleep for the next 8 hours, a constant, low-frequency embrace that ensures your average view duration is a journey through the deepest parts of the dream. You are entering the sleep-maxing state of total optimization, that where your circadian rhythm is aligned with the turning of the earth. The workshop is dark. The gold heart is beating. The indigo velvet is waiting. The final deceleration is here. The world is soft. The night is vast. You are sinking, drifting, fading into the heart of the dream. Sleep well, dream softly, and may the night hold you kindly.